Okay, we want to do problem 4 in chapter 8. And this is a confidence interval estimate of the population mean for ratings from Miami. If you read the problem, we have the ratings from 50 business travelers, and they give us the raw data. So there's a little more work you have to do if you are given the raw data. Again, what I would suggest is that you go to your statistical toolkit to solve this problem. So let's pause and do that. The first step has to start with this problem. We have to copy the data. Now I've opened my statistical toolkit. Let's go to the lower right-hand corner here in between the two arrowheads, right-click, and we're looking for confidence interval of the mean. Now there are 3 here, one for the proportion, one for the mean where sigma is known, the other confidence interval of the mean where sigma is unknown. We were not given the population standard deviation, so we don't know sigma. So we're going to have to use the CI mean sigma unknown. Double click that, and this is what we have. Now this tool is set up to allow you to use it 2 different ways. One from the raw data, the other is from manual input where you already know the size, sample size, the mean, and the standard deviation. But since we don't know that, I'm going to paste in that information that we copied from the program. And as you can see, extends beyond where we can see it. So I'm going to reposition this simply by highlighting all the columns, right click, and I'm going to change the column width to, in this case, I'll just change it to 3. These are small numbers, so I don't need very big columns. This video is going to be a little bit longer because I'm going to show you the steps that I'm using. Now, to use the from data portion of this tool, we need to get this data into this first column A. There are several ways to do that. I'm going to show you the somewhat slow but sure way to do it. Simply highlight the numbers and move them over into that first column. I'm going to pause while I finish this, but you can see how I'm doing this, and you can do this on your own. There's another way, of course, to moving all this data. You can simply highlight each column, right-click, select Cut, and then go down to the space where you want to paste the data and bring it over. As you can see, doing it that way eliminates the data from here. There is, of course, another built-in function called transpose, but in the interest of time, we won't go to that later, but you can look up that built-in function on your own and practice with it. It's a bit more involved though. But as you can see, this tool is set up to automatically give us, and I've set this tool to go from A4 down to A100. If you have more data than that, you of course need to go and adjust this array. But it calculates the mean. And here we have to adjust the array as well. So it moves all the way and covers all of our data. Likewise with the standard deviation, you also have to make sure that all the data is being included. for that calculation. We've put in the sample size. It actually counts the data. So we have 50 data units. This is 6.76 for the sample mean, 2.55 to 2 decimal places for the sample standard deviation. We're using a confidence coefficient of 0.95 because we want a 95% confidence interval. So it gives us a confidence interval lower limit of 6.035. Upper limit is 7.48. So just going to jot those down, 7.485. Now we're back at our problem, and remember that our Excel spreadsheet calculated the lower limit as being 6.035, which, I don't know about you, but I would tend to round that to 6.04, since we were asked to round our answers to 2 decimal places. But 6.04 is marked as wrong. On the other hand, we calculated 7.485 as our answer, which I also rounded to 2 decimal places, 7.49. It counted that as being correct. But if we go back here and change the 6.04 to 6.03, guess what? They mark that as correct. So unfortunately, how this particular problem handles rounding based on the outcome from Excel doesn't seem to be consistent. So just be aware of that. Don't necessarily think that you've gotten the problem wrong because it's marked wrong. If there's rounding involved, especially if the third digit was a 5, simply try not rounding up with that 5, but simply using the number in the second digit to see if that is considered as correct. In our test, I will take that into account, and I would not mark either one of those as being wrong.